think a big part of Hill's improvement over the last couple of years has been down to working with Fergal O'Brien, the former British Open champion and World Championship quarter-finalist. Very often for players with a lot of talent, they have the ability to succeed on the tour, but they need someone to guide them as much as anything else and tell them how to go about things and make the most of their talent. And you simply couldn't have anyone better to guide you in those departments than Fergal. But if he's watching, I'd say he's pretty horrified with what he's just seen on that shot. Kazakov back in with a chance to finish what he started.
So. Hey.
But he's gone astray again.
Well.
These guys all hate losing, but you can take it if you know you've not had many chances or you've played well and just been slightly outdone. And one thing players cannot stand is when they've had chances and not taken them. And so far, that's been the story of this match for Kazakov. So hard to get it right. Catch any of those reds too full. More likely than not, it's going to be end of frame. It's okay, Kazakov hasn't been clinical enough with his chances, but already 33 in front. If he was to get in again, wouldn't have to add much more to get this one done.
Miss and Kazakov 6.
Yeah, and just with the situation in the frame, the penalty points making a difference. Gradually reducing what Kazakov will need.
Thank you.
He's just clipped the red this time, and that's turned out okay. Hill's run to the quarterfinals of this event last year is one of 3 ranking quarterfinals he's been to. 1 in each of the last 3 seasons. When he came closest to winning was in the Wuhan Open. Almost 3 years ago now. Went to a decider against Wu Yiza. Since, as I'm sure you know, gone on to become champion of the world. I mentioned the defeat to Jack Jones in this event last year. And the other one was in the German Masters. Early 2025. Whitewashed by Zhao Guodong, who played extremely well. Never looked like a good shot, did it? So Hill comes to the table, 39 behind, but still plenty there, 67 left. Obvious issue is the red a bit tied up next to the pink.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fine. You wouldn't maybe necessarily say he's quite gone favourite for the frame yet, Hill, but it's very much in the balance now. You can find a way to separate that red and pink. There's no other obvious problem. He's looking to get back on track a bit because he had that quarter-final in this event. He also had 3 last 16 runs in the early stages of last season. trailed off a bit after that, didn't really do much. The second half of the campaign.
9.
He had done enough in those early stages to make it to the World Grand Prix. First time he'd ever been in a Players' Series event. Lost 5-0 in the first round to Mark Selby in Hong Kong. Only totaled 36 points. So now he has managed to separate the red and the pink.
16.
Still got that red to think about. The black cushion. It's a shot that's all about getting the right angle so he doesn't have to play it with pace. So I think you have to say at the very least it's a 50-50 frame now, and probably even a bit better than that for Hill.
17. Twenty-two.
Well, that is incredible.
23.
Good work to play himself back into the frame. For the first time this evening, he's had a really unexpected miss into that pocket.
1.
So the black here will take Kazakov's lead to 24. Still need red and colour after that.
Eight.
He's had so many chances now to win this frame and take control of it that it feels like a bit of a must-win now. Yeah, good shot.
9.
So easy to miss those. Screwing back. Bit of pace. This to leave Hill needing 2 snookers. And that should be that.
Okay. 60.
Well, Hill is going to play on. A couple of snookers needed. I just think, for what it's worth, that trying to get 2 snookers from this position is so hard. Really, the only future in this is take the bold colours. And,
2.
get it down to 23 behind and try to get 1 snooker on the blue. I think you've more chance that way. Force a respot. I mean, how often do you really see someone get 2 snookers at this late stage of a frame? argument you could make, of course. Take the blue as well. You need one snooker on the pink to tie. With only pink and black left, you've probably got more chance of getting a snooker than you would getting two. With 5 or 6 colours left on the table. Has been made a lot recently that maybe rules need to be brought in to stop players playing on for snookers. There's no criticism whatsoever of Hill. He's playing within the rules and he's perfectly entitled to do this, but to say, how often do you really see someone win a frame from this position? It's so rare. I think how much time over the course of a season involved in the game, and just watch a lot. You spend watching players playing on in frames that have no realistic chance of winning. Shouldn't be a problem, this one, but you do see these missed sometimes. Not this time, though. I think it would be a popular move, you know, even among the players if there was to be a bit of a rule change, because I think sometimes players continue in a frame just because they sort of, in some way, feel they should. And although I don't think it applies here, there are times when someone plays on for snookers, they need 3 or 4, and really it's for the purposes of halting the other guy's momentum. Again, all perfectly legitimate and within the rules now, but maybe those rules need to be changed. Not sure how much public appeal there is to players playing on for 10 or 15 minutes. Very little hope of affecting the outcome. Of course, now I've said all that, Aaron's bound to get the snookers, isn't he? Well, maybe not. I think he's left a chance here. Well, green perhaps just a little too difficult, but could just nudge it over the pocket. Surprised he didn't. So many good players and that fine start to last season that Hill had. I spoke about his victims in the English Open. He beat Kyron Wilson in the Wuhan Open. The Northern Ireland Open, where he made the last 16, he beat players who've both won ranking events in relatively recent times, Lee Pei Fan and Barry Hawkins. But the season was to end in disappointment. Played Dave Gilbert in the final qualifying round of the World Championship, just as he had the year before when he was 9-7 up and lost 10-9. 12 months on, had the chance to make amends, but didn't really show up on the day and lost 10-6. So he remains one of the very best players ever to have played at the Crucible. Except, of course, he's in his hometown, where the Crucible is the name of his home club. Doesn't spend a great deal of time there nowadays, of course, because he's got star table and a specially built snooker room that his dad constructed for him at the bottom of the garden. He only lives a few miles away from me. I've been round. It's a wonderful setup he's got. Memorabilia on the walls of some of the great moments he's already had in his career.
Three. And then cast straw. And the first. So
that eventually is that. Not a frame to remember by any means, but Anton Kazakov won't mind, because at the 6th attempt across their two meetings, he's finally taken a frame off Aaron Hill. We're level at 1-1. Thanawat Tirapongpai-Boon of Thailand, recent returnee to the circuit, has won the first couple of frames against Ben Mertens. Liam Davies 1-1 with Lu Hong-yu. And Yun closing in on a 2-0 lead over Gao Yang. Not quite there yet, though. Matthew Selt and Dwayne Jones level at 1-1. Wang Jinbo has won the first frame against Long Zhahuang. And Lu Haitian on the brink of a 3-0 lead over Stuart Carrington. And the one other match going on this evening, Daniel Wells has won the first frame against Liam Graham. It looks as though it's about to go 2-0 because he's, well, 67 in front with 3 reds left in the next frame. And there's still one other match from earlier today to be completed. They've been waiting a few hours now. Robbie Williams 3-2 up on Liam Highfield when they had to come off. And that will be played to a finish on the first table to become available this evening. Yeah, the action continues tomorrow, far, far away from here, the Shanghai Masters. A lucrative invitational event, which is now always a big part of the early stages of the season. Kyron Wilson, the defending champion there, and his first match could actually be against Ronnie O'Sullivan, if O'Sullivan can get past Lu Lin Hao in the first round. Big week, of course, for Wu Yiza. A big event in his home country as world champion for the first time. He'll play Su Jiahui or Wang Zhongshu in his first match. The field of 24. Top 8 seeds exempted through to the last 16. Wilson, an 11-9 winner against Ali Carter in the final last year. Carter, though, not in the field this time. Reminds me a bit of Darren Morgan. Very good Welsh player, former World Championship semi-finalist, was a top 8 player at one stage. And big event he won in his career was the Irish Masters in 1996. Beat Steve Davis in the final. Went back the next year as defending champion. Lost to Stephen Hendry, 9-8 on the final black. And didn't get invited back the next year.
Thank you, frame 3.
So fairly forgettable second frame, as I was saying. It went the way of the Ukrainian. So it's 1-1. For a long evening. 2 frames in, we've already been playing for well over an hour. I mean, just look how long he was down on the shot there before he pulled the trigger. He can't play that way. But that will do nicely. Might not get him very far, but decent red.
Yellow ball.
He's been working with Lee Walker, who's renowned as coach and mentor these days. Certainly never the fastest of players in his day, but I'd like to think it'd be something he'd work on with him, because he does seem to spend often a long time before hitting the cue ball, and it's not really sustainable. Both of these players, in fact, working with mentors who are former World Championship quarter-finalists. You see it again, he was down on that a really long time, and the longer he was down, the more just had to be convinced he didn't have a chance of potting it. That little passage of play has ultimately resulted in Hill. Good chance to get stuck in here at the start of frame 3.
One.
That is far from his best shot. Already run into trouble.
Four.
Obvious aim for Hill this season, I think, is to get into the top 32. Pretty close to it now. Comes into this season with a good chance. I think he's at a stage now where he can start to think he could genuinely be a contender to actually win a ranking event.
Oh no. Four.
I don't think he quite had the game for it a couple of years ago, but much more so now. hail from Cork, the second biggest city in the Republic of Ireland, and one with the massive sporting tradition. You think of Roy Keane, the former Manchester United and Ireland football captain. Sonia O'Sullivan, who was perhaps the leading female middle distance runner in the world back in the 1990s and into the early 2000s. Christy Ring, arguably the greatest ever exponent of the national game of hurling. Ralph Keyes, who was once the top scorer in the Rugby World Cup. He was a sports mad little corner of the world. Yeah, good shot that from Kazakov. Wasn't much margin for error at all. Any error he did make could have been costly. Looking to equal the furthest he's ever been in a ranking event. He'll do that if he wins this match, getting to the last 64.
Fine. Okay. 4.
It just feels a bit flat at the moment.
You see the red behind the two reds, behind the pink. You can see the outside of that one. If I look it over here, you can't. That's the one I looked at first.
Big landmark for Kazakov if he wins this match. The first time he's ever won 2 matches in any professional event. Prior to yesterday's win over Erzenbacher, he won 5 matches as a pro across 3 different seasons, but they'd all come in different tournaments.
Downhill 4.
Feels very hard to both of them right now. Championing for either player. Even there with the misjudged safety. I don't think he's left anything. Yes, Kazakov. Well, I was going to say he's going to try and plant one red onto the other from distance, but well, we're going to find out, I suppose. Oh, well, there was actually a gap past the red. Advantages of 21-year-old's eyes. Well spotted. So definitely a chance of a red here. This is the chance for Kazakov to start making something happen. Yeah, nicely done. It's a friendly flick off the blue, so chance to get going here. But as we've been saying, he's had plenty of chances in this match. Been taking them. Oh, that is such a waste.
One.
He's trying to do quite a bit with the cue ball, so you have to wonder, did he just make the old classic mistake of taking his eye off the pot? What's going to make that even harder to take is the fact that he played such a good shot to get in the first place. So a good chance this for Hill in so many ways. Feels like he's got into a bit of a rut. Maybe the match as a whole has got into a bit of a rut. This is his opportunity to play his way back into some sort of rhythm. This is why you wonder, even from his own point of view, was it really a good idea to keep playing on for those couple of snookers in the previous frame and knock himself out of his rhythm?
7. Eight. 11.
He's well known back home because it's been a while since anyone really has come through in the Republic of Ireland. There have been a few who have flattered to deceive. Davy Morris from Kilkenny showed a lot of potential for a while, but it never really amounted to anything in the end. A few good wins and a few decent runs. It's a ranking event quarter-finalist, but never came anywhere near the sort of things which had been spoken in terms of. It was a huge story when Hill beat Ronnie O'Sullivan in the European Masters 6 years ago. He was only 18 at the time. Sullivan had just won his 6th world title. Of course, it was in the absolute midst of COVID, so everyone was looking for something to be cheery about. And since then, he's been well known, got a lot of attention in his home country. RTE, the national broadcaster, went to his house just before Christmas last year to film an end-of-year piece with him, highlight everything he'd achieved and the progress he was making. He's always been very big in the Republic of Ireland. Those players I mentioned earlier. It used to have one of the most famous events on the circuit, the Irish Masters. The old venue in Goffs from 1978 all the way to the year 2000. Continued then at City West for the next 5 years. Goffs, I can confirm, is still standing. Pass it regularly. Have great memories of wonderful days and nights we spent there down the years. Still stages some seniors exhibitions and such like.
20. There
hasn't been a really big professional event in Ireland now since 2013. Well, the Republic of Ireland, that is. Obviously, Northern Ireland has a huge event every October. I just feel if Hill could become a big name, then maybe the next big tournament in Ireland may end up being played in his home city. He's starting to get back a bit of that rhythm I was talking about, and the situation he's in now with a few more available reds, a lead of 34. In terms of getting the frame done here.
25.
Always feel he's got a great temperament, doesn't seem to get fazed by much, and very often seems to find an extra gear towards the end of a match. The winning line tends to inspire rather than faze him.
$33. $59. 40.
So Black would take the lead to 57. So still needs to find one more red after this, but he's got a nice angle to put himself in position. And it should be 2-1.
$47. 48. $55. Hill, 55.
Well, it's the first half century from either player in the match. One more red would probably have seen it out. As it is, Kazakov comes back to the table 65 behind. It's 4 snookers needed, so again, really, what is the point? People always saying with no reds on the table, you can get a free ball. How often does someone actually end up winning a frame that way? It's a little too casual about that hill, but not entirely surprising after all the effort he put into that 55 break and the fact that he knows it's going to be his frame anyway. Will be that.
1. Five. 6.
So both players really seem to have lost any sense of rhythm or momentum. As Kazakov lost the frame, he's seen his opponent get a bit of that rhythm back. A break of 55 then, the key for Aaron Hill. Nice break of the match so far, and it puts him back into the lead at 2 frames to 1. Tirapong Paiboon 2-0 up on Ben Mertens, and he's leading by 39 in the next, and yeah, that one looks more or less done, so should get to 3-0 there. 2-all between Lu Hongyu and Liam Davies. Zhang Yun is now leading 3-0 over Gao Yang. Matthew Selt also just 1 away from victory now, 3-1 ahead of Dwayne Jones. 1-all between Long Zhihuang and Wang Jinbo. And Daniel Wells of Wales very much on top against Scotland's Liam Graham. Wales now leads by 3 frames to 0. Breaks of 124 and 81. Graham, in those first 3 frames, scored just 1 point. He is currently on a break of 28 in the next frame. So not been a classic so far, let's be fair about it. Better signs from Hill there. Wasn't straightforward, he put in a lot of effort to get that 55 break. That match that Hill played against Gary Wilson. Qualifiers for Wuhan a few weeks ago. It really was extraordinary. As I was saying, 4 days earlier, he'd come from 4-0 down to beat Wilson, qualify for the China Open. When they met in Wuhan, in the qualifiers for Wuhan, Wilson was leading 4-3. Hill made a century to force a decider, got in first in that decider, But on 62, he missed match ball black. And another chance moments later at a long red, which would get him over the line, and he'd been knocking in a lot of good long balls that day. And just as he was getting down to play it, referee John Palou noticed that all the points that should have been on Hill's side of the scoreboard had in fact been applied to Wilson. I think it's fair to say Hill should have been allowed to get down and complete the shot before it was rectified, but he was made to wait while all the points were taken off individually and then put on to him. Ended up missing the red when he eventually did get to play it, and Wilson cleared up with 65 to win on the black. Think of some less laid-back players who would have been absolutely seething about it. Sort of feels like a must-win frame now coming up for Kazakov. Always reluctant to say that when it isn't the frame that a player needs to get over the line, and particularly so in best of 7. You're never really so far behind that there's no hope. But particularly if Hill was to win this with a good break, very hard to see Kazakov coming back from there.
Thank you, frame 4.
So the Ukrainian keen to get on with it.
Kazakov.
Trails by a frame again. It's 2-1 to Hill. If you're going to play an attacking safety shot like that, you've got to get a good cue ball, and he has. For all the world as though that cue ball was going to drop, but somehow stayed above ground. Ball in hand, I think we definitely would have seen Hill have a go at a red from distance. Does he fancy a red to right middle? I think it goes. It's tight anyway, and he doesn't seem to be looking at that. Indications are he's examining the safety options. spent a while figuring it out. In the end, he's played it very well. To end up in almost the same spot again. He just doesn't want to get bogged down. I mean, there's no question he's a much better player than Kazakov. A bit of a slog at the moment. Not sure who the young lady there is. She's certainly watching very attentively. I think she's here with Kazakov. So much snooker played at this venue in Leicester in recent years. Things like the British Open, the Shootout, a few other things as well. Champion of Champions, of course, will be here in November. Very different setup then, of course. Big crowds all the way, big names, huge money. Lovely red.
One.
I think it was played as a setup for the next safety.
Blue ball, thank you. One.
Well, can't criticise him for going for it. Sometimes you've got to try to do something to just change the tempo and make things happen. But you've got to live or die by those decisions. In this instance, he's handed a golden chance to the Corkman.
Eight. Nine. 16. Seventeen.
I think as well what Fergal O'Brien will have instilled in him is just how hard you've got to work. I remember chatting to Aaron a few years ago and talking about the time he puts in on the practice
24.
table and the way he goes about it all. And I remember thinking, doesn't really sound like quite the intensity of preparation that you need. Well, if there's one person, again, who's going to educate him in that, it would be Fergal. Just to practice for incredible amounts of hours in his heyday.
31.
At one point a top 10 player in the world.
32.
Aaron's a different animal to Fergal. He's never going to be as intense as him. Much more of an instinctive rather than methodical player. You can still learn a lot from him about how to make the most of the ability you've got. And again, it's into that pocket. He's missed at least 3 really bad balls into that bottom right corner. Just a little sign of frustration there as he returns to his chair. So Kazakov is still very much in this 4th frame and still in with every chance of getting level once again. I think at the moment you have to put him in that category of players. Too good for the amateur game, not yet quite good enough for the pro scene.
7.
He won the WSF Junior Championship in 2022 to earn his card. It was a particularly commendable effort because it happened just around the time his country was being invaded by Russia. Back onto the tour earlier this year, winning the European Under-21 Championship in Spain. Off the back of that, with his tour place already secured, he won the European Amateur Championship as well. But when I say not yet quite good enough for the pro game, I really do mean not yet. I'm not prejudging anything. I said he's beaten some good players already this season. He looks a much better player than he was in his first spell on tour.
Twenty-three. 24. 31. 32. Blue ball.
Might be reminded of home there. Yellow and blue next to each other, resembling his country's flag.
$37. Yeah.
Good effort. And actually, in the end, it's turned out okay because he's got this red to left middle.
43.
Given the way he's played so far in this match, if he could win the frame from here, it would be a really impressive effort. He knew, didn't he? He knew straight away. But again, it could have turned out a lot worse for him.
43.
Hasn't left anything on. All three reds are safe. I just think it's very hard to build any rhythm or momentum playing the way he does. Very deliberate, quite methodical.
Oh, and a miss. And a Kazakov.
Sort of shot that can make you look quite silly as a professional snooker player.
Yeah.
Everyone does it from time to time.
Thank you.
Pretty much guarantee he won't do it again. The moment I said that, I knew he was going to. So he's going to be warned now. Which pretty much guarantees he won't do it a third time. Not sure I like the word warned. Just sort of informed, I guess, might be a better one. That if he misses it a third time, it'll be loss of frame.
I don't know if you missed this time. I want to win time.
Only happened a handful of times, really, that someone has been awarded a frame for the 3 successive misses when not snookered. I know that when that rule was brought in, it's well over 30 years ago now, players thought, well, it'll just never happen. In a year or so, there had been the first high-profile example of it. No less a figure than Steve Davis on the receiving end. So Kazakov, in the end, from that situation, although Hill did manage to make contact the third time, the Ukrainian was presented with a chance. He's already 13 in front. given the fact that he's not really taking his chances well and not really to be in any sort of form at any point, he'd be absolutely delighted. If he can get to 2-all. Struck that well. Nice timing. Oh, but is it going to work? Well, maybe just.
4.
If he is going to play the pot here, these are horrible. 2 balls very close together. Played at a pace. I would say it's impossible, but it's very unlikely you're going to make the pot. Okay, so Hill gets back in, 16 behind. Has to be all about that red by the baulk line and near the side cushion.
1.
Played to get in behind it. He didn't intend to be quite this straight, but
5.
won't be too disappointed. So really, you have to feel one half decent shot here. He should go 3-1 up.
6.
More than good enough. Relieved to take this frame, as it looks as though he's going to do now. He was leading 39-0 and bad miss on a red.
8. 10.
So needs up to and including the pink.
13. 17.
So it's another frame that could have gone either way. It's a frame in which Hill has now come back into the lead. He's 2 balls away from winning it.
22.
So much to regret in this match for Kazakov. A bit more in this frame. It almost slipped away from Aaron Hill, but he's ended up winning that frame on the pink. He just needs one more now to advance to the final stages of this English Open. He leads Anton Kazakov by 3 frames to 1. So Tanawat Tirapongpai Boon of Thailand has defeated Belgium's Ben Mertens by 4 frames to 0. He's played well. He breaks of 57, 64 and 81 from the only scoring visit of the clinching frame. And so he's through to play Mark Williams in the final stages. Liu Haitian has won as well, also by 4 frames to 0 against Grimsby's Stuart Carrington. Very good performance, really. 86, 77 and 100 in the first 3 frames. And then he comfortably won the last as well. Carrington actually totaled only 18 points in the whole match. So Liu Haitian will play Barry Hawkins in the next round. So when the match is still going on, Liu Hongyu 3-2 up on Liam Davies. Robbie Williams and Liam Highfield have finally resumed. several hours after coming off the table, with Williams leading 3-2. So they're in the early stages of the 6th frame, and Zhang Yun is 3-1 up against Gao Yang. They are playing for the right to meet world champion Wu Yiza in the final stages. Matthew Selt leading 3-2 over Dwayne Jones. Wang Jinbo 2-1 up on Long Jihuang. And Daniel Wells now leading 3-1 against Liam Graham, after the Scot took the 4th frame to keep the match going. Well, it's been a slog. They've been playing for just over 2 hours to get those 4 frames done. The thing about it is, when it's a qualifier, you really don't care how you play as long as you get through, because being in a tournament where you think, well, I'm in the next round, but I've got to play again tomorrow, and if I play like that, I'm not going to have much chance. In this case, as a qualifier, you're playing to get into the next round, but you know that round isn't going to be played for several weeks yet, so played isn't really relevant. There you can see on the next table, one of the players Kazakov has already beaten this season. So much snooker to look forward to over the next while. Big run of events now coming up in China. As I said, the Shanghai Masters starts tomorrow. 6 days after it finishes, the China Open returns to the calendar for the first time since the pre-COVID era. And a week after that, it's the Wuhan Open. And then attention will shift to England. 2 events back-to-back, the British Open in Cheltenham, which starts on the August Bank Holiday Monday, and then literally the day after the British Open ends, it's the English Open in Brentwood. Back to China for the inaugural Shenzhen Open. Northern Ireland Open then in Belfast in late October. After that finishes yet another event in China, the International Championship. But then all the focus returns to Britain for a while. You've got the Champion of Champions here in Leicester, UK Championship in York. That finishes on the 6th of December, and there'll still be the shootout in Blackpool and the Scottish Open in Edinburgh to come before Christmas. Masters obviously at Alexandra Palace in the new year. It's the German Masters and the Welsh Open, and then a bit more action in Asia. World Grand Prix in Hong Kong in February. Back to England for the Players' Championship in Telford.
Thank you for 5.
And one last Chinese event for the season in Yushan in the second half of March. And then the season, as it always does now, finishes with back-to-back events in the north of England. The Tour Championship, the biggest of them all, the World Championship. But that's all a long way off now. Still the very early stages of this 26-27 season. Hill is looking for one more frame to claim his place in the English Open. Not his finest break-off. Ah, that's really nice.
What?
That is right up there as one of the best shots he's played all night. But he'll be disappointed with his performance so far. He knows he's had chances. He knows he's not been clinical and effective. It's not too late to change it. And this is exactly the sort of chance from which he could do it.
Hey.
Just feel like he needs to free himself up. Try to rely on instinct a bit more. Maybe play a bit quicker. I think to lose at this stage, he's not realistically going to turn it around from 3-1 down. He's gone about this so far. He's left himself a tricky one here. Only 3 balls into this break. Again, just look how long there. He was perfectly still before delivering the cue.
No.
It's just not good technique. He was well aware the black was making it a bigger pocket.
Oh.
So it'd be nice to see Hill free himself up a bit as well. He's looked a bit inhibited tonight.
Oh. Thirteen.
Well, if he can see this out, I think Hill will be reasonably pleased.
20.
His week's work here in Leicester. He's qualified for the British Open. Now the English Open. Okay, he didn't make it to Shenzhen.
21.
Won't make the obvious meatloaf reference. But in all seriousness, if you're getting through from 2 out of the 3 events, then that's not bad. Oh, but that is... Oh, that's a terrible shot. That's just about the worst shot he's played all night.
One.
That's not brilliant. He's left himself close to the cushion. What a distance between cue ball and black. Yeah, pretty good that.
Eight. Nine.
like he's on anything here. Unless that red goes to right
50.
middle, but he's looking at now. Don't think that's an option.
Something Kazakov. 50.
Well, these reds are sitting pretty nicely, so whoever gets the next chance, it's likely to be a good one. Certainly can never fault Kazakov's commitment and effort. He gives absolutely everything from start to finish. Very commendable when you spent most of your professional career getting beaten. He really seems to lose heart. It's a really good shot, you know. And it has opened up a clear path now into the final stages of this English Open.
Seven.
Just a little complicated, obviously, by the black spot being blocked, as it seems to be. Pink having that red next to it.
$50.
Still a golden chance.
16. $23.
Oh, he's not going to do it again, is he? That's at least the third time tonight
23.
that Hill
And Kazakov.
has gone in off in a middle pocket when in prime position. For all that Kazakov has just never really got going tonight, bottom line is he's only 16 points behind here, 3 reds left. If he can win this frame, he's still right in this. I say it about best of 7. Never too far behind to turn it round. Would have been a match winner in all likelihood if it had gone in. Playing it with that much force and that much pace. Even if he missed it, could finish just about anywhere. Another chance to try to turn around this frame. Well off target. And for all that Kazakov has struggled to find wins in these early years of his pro career, he's definitely a significantly better player than he's shown tonight. He did show it against Marco Fu on the main table in the Wuhan qualifiers. This evening he's never got going. And yet, this match still isn't gone for him. The other thing from Hill's point of view that will mean he doesn't dwell too much on his performance tonight is that he seems to play better against the better players. Quite cause for concern going forward from here. is that going to be the end of the road for Anton Kazakov in this English Open? Came into this match tonight looking to win back-to-back matches in the same tournament for the first time in his professional career. But I think he's going to be very disappointed about how he's played. At times it's been the run of the balls, but overall he's just not shown up. See him next against Ding Junhui, the British Open in Cheltenham in about 5 weeks from now. But it's not quite over yet.
One.
And this can go wrong. Green right over the pocket, cue ball coming from a long way away. Obviously the pot is guaranteed, but you don't know what the cue ball's going to do, and well, he's going to hate what it's done. I thought he might have played for the black off the previous red. It was a strange selection. Maybe a bit of the hit and hope about that. Maybe there was also quite a bit of pent-up frustration in there. Okay, so Kazakov does come back to the table. He's only 16 behind. Returns to the table purely to put Hill in again.
Thank you.
Look at the two reds. They're both out in the open. Very portable. There's nothing else really safe. Off about 27 cushions there. Just to make it worse, he's given away 7 rather than 4. He's left the red on. Oh, this would be sensational if Kazakov was to win a frame that looked to be gone.
One.
So if he's to win the frame at this visit, feels like it's all about this next shot. But is he even going to try to get on the red, or will he just take the 7 points and play a safety? Wouldn't be a bad option. I know he's played to get on it. Very hard to judge, but he's done a fine job of it. Pretty much perfect.
8.
So the red will get him level. What a chance this is.
Nine. Round ball.
So he leads by 4. Needs yellow, green, brown and blue.
13.
Kazakov left a red on to the middle, probably not even 10 minutes ago. Must have thought more likely than not he'd already played his last shot. As it is now, Hill in his chair, probably already preparing for the next frame.
18. 22. Long way.
Just a little bit of a wobble, but the brown was never going to stay up. But he's just bungled the blue. And it goes back to what I've been saying all evening, just way too long before he pulled the trigger. You can cut him a bit of slack there because with a shot like that, using all the long stuff, it's hard to get comfortable on it. But what a horrible way for it to end, from Kazakov's point of view, if indeed it is to be the end.
Fine.
Because there is still one last hope for him here. Hill has got to get to the other end of the table and get on the black. He even cued this too well.
11.
Well, this is a horrible shot. Chewing in the jaws of the pocket. Well, he's not even going to play the pot, and I think that may be the right decision. Oh, he has gone for it, and he's got it. Well, it looked like he was lining up to play the safety shot there, but you know, Aaron Hill has played so much better than that so many times in the past, and he will do on many, many occasions in the future. Break of 55 in the third frame, the only thing approaching a highlight for the Irishman. He has defeated Anton Kazakov by 4 frames to 1, and Hill will go through to play Zeuser in the last 64 of the English Open in Brentwood. So let's just check in on the other scores. The match is still going on out there. We've got Lu Hongyu and Liam Davies playing their decider. They're just starting that. Winner of that will play Ronnie O'Sullivan in the final stages. Robbie Williams and Liam Highfield, well, they had to wait several hours to get back out there. They're in a decider now, and Williams is leading by 54 points. Gao Yang is just about to make it 3-all against Jiang Yun. It already is 3-all between Matt Selt and Dwayne Jones, but Selt is leading 59-0 in the next. Long Zhihuang and Wang Jinbo level at 2-all. Long leading by 50 points to 0 in frame 5. And Daniel Wells has now finished it off against Liam Graham by 4 frames to 1. Wells will play Gary Wilson in the final stages. So it's been a long all day here. We had 3 deciders on the main table and then a 2.5-hour epic just there finishing in favour of Aaron Hill. So with Michael Day earlier and me, Michael McMullen, this evening, it's been very much a case of the two Michaels. So it's good night from me, it's good night from him.